The best teams I've played in is when you've got every player on board mentally in wanting to play for the manager, and that comes through the manager understanding the core needs.
Welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. I'm your host, Ben Wellman, here with Kyle Apps, aka the Mad Dog. Kyle, how are we doing, sir?
I'm going to change my name to Kyle, the Gold Dust Dropper. Dropper of gold dust, gold bars, whatever you say. Season 4, gold bars, people.
Season 3, we are in Game Changer, Mad Dog. We've got a brilliant game changer today. We've got someone who is a football player, still plays. He's played at high level all the way through in the academy as well. He played for Arsenal Academy, then he went to play for Charlton, and he's played for many other great teams after that as well in non-league. But he's also a game changer as a scout as well. This is our first ever scout that we're going to have as a guest. So we're going to hear his unique insight and experience as a player, but also as a scout. Double game changer, Mad Dog. Double game changer.
Double game changer. Not only are we going to reach the coaches with some great information, but with some players too. So maybe everyone can be listening, even parents. Parents, you should be listening. The friends of parents, because you've already told them, they should be listening because you're going to learn some things about what is a scout in football/soccer looking for in a player. I love it. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's give the listeners a little bit more of an overview of who Aaron is. So Aaron was born in Croydon, which is in South London, but later moved to Kent, which is where I am. And like I said, he grew up, he went through the Arsenal Academy, was signed while he was at a tournament in Denmark. He's going to tell us a little bit about how he played through Arsenal Academy. And then, like I said, now he plays for a non-league team called Ramsgate, who are very, very close to promotion. Maybe by the time you listen to this, there's only 4 games left. Ramsgate may have been promoted. So if you give them a Google, Ramsgate, and you'll see if they have been promoted or not by the time you listen to this as well. So looking forward to Mad Dog. Well, we know he has a bit of a West African heritage, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear his history, you know, if he's got any sort of jollof rice running through his bones and which country that he thinks is the best. Is it Nigeria? Is it Ghana? Is it Senegal? Is it Liberia? We don't know. We don't know. But people, hang on. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out a lot of different things. So like we say today, we're going to dive in, going beyond that, right? Because our podcast is already won. We believe as a Christian, we have a bigger victory that we've received for what Jesus has done for us. We didn't do anything to deserve it, anything to achieve. And yet it's changed us completely. And that's our kind of goal of this, is to look beyond that as well, to get some insight, but then to be able to apply some of this gold dust to our lives now. Whatever you're involved in, hopefully you'll be able to apply some of this wisdom that we're going to bring from our game changer today, Mad Dog. So without further ado, should we get him in here?
Let's bring him in. He's ready to go.
All right then, guys, please welcome to the podcast this week, the game changer from England, Aaron Barnes. Barnesy, welcome to Already Won.
Thank you for having me.
The game changer. What game is that? Is that field hockey, Ben?
Not field hockey. We'll find out what sport he played. So you've got to give him some rapid fire to find out.
Yes. Right. Oh, yes. So rapid fire questions. We ask, either or questions, and the only right answer is whatever comes out of your mouth. Preferably, we don't want both or neither. We, choose one or the other. I'll try to set a scene, but not too much. But just whenever mind blurb you come out with. You good to go?
Perfect. Let's go.
All right. On the scouting side, do you follow technology or your gut? Ooh, the pause. Gut. Okay. Gut. I like it. All right. Would you rather play for Arsene Wenger or Mikel Arteta? Oh, there's a smile. For those not watching, there's a smile.
Yeah, that's very close to my heart. Arsene Wenger.
Okay. There's a picture of him with Arsene, so I got that. Okay.
Funny,
Books. This is very important because Ben is biased on this one. Do you prefer digital or print?
I think now I'm getting a bit lazy and older. I'm going to say digital.
No. You're getting smarter. Thank you.
Once again, wiser. Yeah, getting
wiser. Appreciate that. Ben, you could learn something from Aaron. All right. On the plane, do you prefer a window or an aisle seat?
See, I don't really like flying, so I like an aisle seat. Yeah, I'm an aisle seat guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Can get up and leave if I need to.
Right. Yeah, you get up and leave. I don't know where you're going. Go to the pilot. I'm taking over. Bathroom. There you go. All right, last question. Alex Iwobi or Ademola Lookman?
Oh. In what sense?
Well, who would you say? It's however you want to interpret it.
Oh, this is so tough. I'm going to say Alex Iwobi.
All right. Right.
But I am closest to Alex.
Oh,
I've known him since I was about 9 or 10, and still close to this day. Still close to his family and stuff like that. Still close with Ademola Lookman as well. But yeah, my dad and Alex's dad are really close. So I'm gonna.
So is that why you went with Alex?
Yeah. I mean, Lookman's an absolute baller. Probably the best player I played with in my career in terms of ability, natural ability, and obviously he's won African Player of the Year this year. But if you just ask me that question, Alex or Ademola, I'm gonna have to say Alex.
I told you that we're getting going the conversation. So
But he needed a clarifier. It's never good when you have to.
Well, especially they're both watching. Make sure I think he's still a diplomatic answer there as well. So, but both incredible players, and both doing great things now in their individual things as well. And Carl and I watched in AFCON. Lookman was absolutely on fire in that. So. Yeah, we absolutely love that. So, but Wobie's playing well as well at the minute. So, yeah, well, look, we love that quick fire. I feel like we've got a lot to dive into, obviously from your playing background, but then also now being a game changer as a scout as well. So, I think for those listening, obviously already probably pricked their interest hearing about your time and stuff and what that was like. So, let's dive a bit deeper then. So, Season 3, we're in Season 3. It's called Game Changer. So, we believe God is the ultimate game changer. And we've inviting guests like yourself to share some of your life experience to talk about how you're a game changer now. But why is your faith important to you in the world of sport now as you play and in your job that you do? Why is your faith important to you?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, faith has always been a important part of how I've grown up. I've grown up in a Christian family, so going to church every Sunday was part and parcel of my upbringing. And yeah, I think, again, with faith, you go on a journey and you have to sort of find out who you are within that journey. So there's a lot of people, for example, who will go to church as a kid and they might not connect to it in one reason or another. And it might just be the fact because their parents go, they have to go, and they're not really engaged and switched on with it. And I guess every kid has that sort of journey as well to explore themselves and explore their faith. But for me, I've always had that faith. Again, you do wobble within it and you do have those ups and downs, but that's part and parcel of life. And for me, my faith has been the bedrock for everything I do. It's been it's given me that purpose. It's given me that reason. And it's helped me to find myself in the good times and bad times, both professionally and also personally as well. So, faith has played a massive role in my life. I've seen so many things where I can only put it down to faith. So yeah, I hope it continues to be the case, and it will continue to be the case. And I just, excited to see what God has in plan for me going forward. So yeah.
Personally and professionally, Kyle.
There we go. Bring it on. Well, personally, you've got some Ghanaian ancestry, some history there. But tell us about. Go ahead. Tell us
mainly actually Nigerian and Liberian. So my mum's from Nigeria, and then my dad's from Liberia. But a lot of my dad's family moved to Ghana and has got a lot of family that are born and bred in Ghana. So yeah, a lot of my dad's side will see themselves as Ghanaian. I technically don't actually have Ghanaian blood in me, but yeah, West African.
You eat the food, the blood's part of it,
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
blood in the food, but what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what's your earliest memory of playing football? Is it the Liberian style, the Nigerian style? Don't say West Africa. That's like saying Jollof rice is universal. It's not.
Don't want to get controversial there, yeah. Earliest memory of playing football for me. It's weird because my parents were never really into football or into sport as I remember it. So my early memories really, and I remember playing football from very young. Earliest memories would be like literally playing in the garden, kicking anything around, whether it was like a little tennis ball or a little stress ball, even getting socks together and kicking that around. That would probably be my earliest memory, just playing around the house and causing absolute havoc, breaking things here and there. And like I said, my parents weren't into sport too much, so I never really had that encouragement to like play for a team or anything like that. And with my parents being very, very focus on me doing my academics and stuff like that. When I ended up going to school, I had a lot of my friends saying, "Oh, can I play for their Sunday league teams?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'd love to, but my parents don't really want me to do that." So it got to a stage where I think I was about 8 years old, maybe 9, where one of my closest friends at the time, he was like, "Listen, I will do whatever it takes for you to play for his Sunday league team." So it got to the point where his parents used to pick me up, take me to training, take me back. And yeah, I think quite quickly my parents saw that I had a talent with it. I started getting loads of scouts from all over really in London, like Palace and Charlton and Millwall and stuff like that. So my parents, from being quite skeptical of it, quickly became my biggest fans and started, taking a very keen interest quite quickly.
Wow, I can imagine. Well, so you mentioned there all those different teams were interested, and then another team was Arsenal that came in. You were scouted by them. So you then played through the Arsenal Youth Academy. So tell us a little bit about what that was like and that journey.
Yeah, that journey was crazy, to be honest. Again, so I was getting scouted by teams like I said, Palace and Millwall and teams like that. And again, my parents weren't too keen on it. They thought, nah. But obviously, being an Arsenal fan myself, and I've always been an Arsenal fan, and my dad is an Arsenal fan. When Arsenal came knocking and they wanted to sign me, that was the only club that was literally going to turn his head and allow me to go and play for them. It's quite surreal looking back at it, because I think when you're that young, you don't really comprehend how big that opportunity is and that sort of achievement is to play for a team of Arsenal size. I think 9 or 10 when I signed for them. I just thought this is what everyone gets to do. It's just normal to play for the team you support. But yeah, it was just really, really surreal. You go into train 3 or 4 times a week, playing on the Saturday against all the teams, your Tottenhams, your Chelseas, and playing teams up and down the country, going abroad and playing in different tournaments. Yeah, it was a really, really big thing. But again, like I said, it was just something I thought was just the norm, really. And I just kind of, at the time, I guess, just took it in my stride and didn't really think too much of it at the time.
What was it like? I mean, you had some good coaches then, obviously, when you were there. We've seen a picture of obviously Arsene Wenger. Obviously, you were there from that age all the way through. So, like, was it 15 around that time you were there?
Yeah, until 16, yeah.
16, yeah. So, yeah, what was it like just that whole being coached and, yeah, playing and things? What was it like just going through that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, with Arsenal, so the academy, the training ground is separate to the first team training ground. So when you're at the academy training ground, you don't obviously have that connection as much with the first team. So I feel like where we didn't have that as much, you don't really think too much about it until you get closer to, I think, the under 15s, under 16s, and you start going over to the first team training ground. And that's when, for me, it started to hit, where I was like, wow, this could be my career. This could be a job, seeing the first team players at training and playing your games at the first team training ground. Yeah, it's an amazing thing, really. And obviously at the time, I think Jack Wilshere was breaking into the first team, and we used to look at him as a reference point, because I don't think there was any real players that had broken in to that level or degree for quite a while. Maybe Ashley Cole was probably the last one, or technically Cesc Fabregas. So when Jack Wilshere broke in, who I think is probably about 5-6 years older than me, but when he broke through, that kind of gave everyone in the academy a sort of feeling that, yeah, you can make it, you can play in the first team. So yeah, it was a really good experience. Like I said, the facilities are crazy, and yeah, it's just, I look back at it with so much fondness, to be honest.
So life isn't always a box of chocolates, or maybe it is. That's what Forrest Gump said, right? But
Yeah.
We know there's changes, there's disappointments. So looking back maybe at your 16-year-old self and having the change and the life decisions you had to make, and even today as you're dealing with new players and rising players, how do you deal with that disappointment of being transferred or losing that deal, or what kind of advice can you give other players that maybe that you would see in any situation that you're dealing with?
Yeah, no, for certain. It's a very, very relevant question. It's actually a question I tried to answer anyway. I did my dissertation about 2-3 years ago on like athletic identity and how people respond to getting released or through deselection, through injury and anything like that. because it's a very big thing that people don't really look at. Everyone looks at the players who make it, but for every player that makes it, there's a million players that don't make it, and they go through their own journeys of trying to maybe redefine themselves and try and have to maybe not even make it at all in football. I mean, I've been quite lucky. I've had a career, but I've seen so many players at Arsenal when I was there myself who probably have more ability than me, but never made it and had to do other things. And it could be quite difficult because as a kid, for example, if I speak from my own experience, if I went to any sort of family event, the first question people ask me is not how I am, it's how's football going? Or at school, for example, I was known as the Arsenal kid, not by name. So you're kind of defined by the footballer instead of the person. So I think, yeah, trying to redefine yourself. I don't say redefine yourself, but trying to not define yourself through football is an important thing to know that there's more to football. And again, you're so young. You're 15, you're 16. You're developing emotionally. You're trying to mature. It's tough, but luckily I had my faith. For starters, I had a good, strong family support and network. I had my education, which a lot of kids don't have when they go through the academy system. They sort of neglect that because they're told it's football or education. And yeah, for me, it was just not trying to let it define myself, but getting back on the horse and saying, okay, I've not made it at Arsenal. There's other clubs out there. So, what next sort of thing. And I was trialing at a few clubs at the time. I think I went to Leicester. I went to United. I went to Brighton, a few other clubs like that. Then eventually I found a home at Charlton pretty quickly on. So, yeah, again, you have these setbacks in life, but it's all about how you respond to them and having the right people and mindset around you to navigate that.
I love that. You just give us a summary of your dissertation there in a really simple form. I would like to read that though.
It was, yeah.
Paper, digital, Ben.
Yeah.
You should have before
There you go.
But I think there's some really good stuff in there. You talked about, the importance of your faith, the importance of your family. We talked a bit off air about, you said you were just released before you got a scholarship, and how do you deal with that then? And I think that's so important. Like, your identity is not in just you and what you do, but who you are is separate from that. And we talked about having a really good support network around you, like getting the people around you who are going to support you through it. And like you said, that mindset. I think also the importance of education. We had a guy come on who runs an academy in South Africa, and he talks about a dual dream. Every player should have a dual dream, having a backup through education, like you said, or having something else to fall back on and stuff. Obviously, you went on to play for other teams. Like you said, you've played for some other really good teams. You went to Charlton, and then you've played in loads of different teams, which is going to lead us to our next question. You're currently playing still semi-pro, going for promotion with Ramsgate as well down in Kent. So hopefully that'll happen. I think you've got 4 games left, 7 points to make sure you get there. So hope you get there. But we're more interested. We train coaches, right, within Sports Friends. Some in West Africa, like we mentioned. Shout out to all our West African coaches that are there. They listen and watch quite regularly, which is great. But for you, Bonzi, what makes a good coach? From all the teams that you've played for, what makes a good coach?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, what makes a good coach is beyond just the actual coaching side of it and, the technical or tactical aspects of the coaching, but it's extending and recognizing that each individual person and player is different and being able to manage that and understand that. For example, some players might need a rocket, as they say in England, a bit of harsher words to get them going, where other players might need an arm around their shoulder. So it's being able to realize and manage a group and understand that everyone's different and they've got different needs. And for me, through my experience, I feel like the best managers have the right balance of that, of understanding how to get the best out of each player. And for me, tactics are all well and good, but the best teams I've played in is when you've got every player on board mentally in wanting to play for the manager. And that comes through the manager understanding the core needs of each player. And then once you've got that, everything just falls into place.
And that kind of relates to the next question. So now you've transitioned, you've incorporated sort of all your life experience from even your family to as a player, to trying to model whatever the coach wanted you to model in that sort of specific case. But now as a scout, how did you get into scouting, and what can you tell us about your role as a scout?
Yeah, so the scouting is I kind of landed on my feet in a weird way. I guess it's how faith sort faith sort of works, and God works in mysterious ways. So it was around lockdown, so about 2020, maybe just a bit later. And I was playing for Dulwich Hamlet at the time. And one of my best mates who used to play for Chelsea was at Dulwich Hamlet as well. And he was kind of going through a bit where he'd obviously played for Chelsea at higher levels and he dropped down to non-league and wasn't really enjoying playing non-league football. So he was kind of like transitioning out of playing football into the scouting world. And he was looking around. He had good connections from Chelsea previously for where he played, and ended up going to Charlton as a scout. And for me, it was really weird because I've always been interested in that side of things with the scouting and recruitment side. I was the type of kid that would play Foot Manager instead of FIFA. So for me, doing transfers and all that stuff was always what I was fascinated in. So he went into Charlton. I happened to play for Charlton as well. Charlton were going through a change in their scouting system where they were looking for younger scouts who are a bit more tech savvy. So it just kind of just fell into place randomly. Obviously, my best mate went to go to Charlton. I played for Charlton. So I went into Charlton, started off as an intern for a few weeks, and then, ended up being first team scout and recruitment analyst and was there for 2.5 years. So, it was really random. I didn't have any thought of going to be a scout that soon. I really liked the idea of it, but I was just at the time still playing football, really, and trying to get myself back into the Football League. I was doing a bit of coaching at the time, but then when that opportunity kind of arose itself, I thought it must be my calling. So I've been doing it now for about 4 or 5 years, and I really, really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah.
Tech savvy. I can imagine you're tech savvy. Yeah, younger generation.
Digital.
Yeah. Literally.
But there's a lot more like now, I was down at Portsmouth with the team I coach, and there was a guy who had been a scout for head of scouting for 30 years. And he was talking about now people send so much video footage. So now it's there's all this. So the game has changed in loads of ways. But he said there's some things you can't see in a video. So he said, when he's scouting, he looks at players' attitude, like how do they warm up? How do they interact with their teammates? How do they listen? How do they take on information when things aren't going well? So it's not just a video that they analyze. That's one bit, to see things. But there's a lot more. So I'm wondering, what other things do you look for when you scout? And how do you kind of assess a player when you go and look for different things?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point he's made, because I'm technically a video scout a lot of the time. So a lot of the games I watch will be on video. I do go to the odd live game now. So I haven't mentioned it, but I now scout for Stoke City. So I do a lot of video-based scouting for the international league, so MLS, the J1 league, and wherever in Europe. But it's an interesting point. I'm personally someone that prefers watching games live because, like you say, it's one of those things. There's so many things you can't pick up on video. Video is good. It helps you to identify certain things really quickly, who the best player is from a technical standpoint, or who stands out, who's eye-catching. But for me, when you get to maybe the critical point and you're looking to sign a specific player, for me, you have to go and see that player live. Like you say, it's what's he like in the warm-up? How does he communicate with his teammates? What's his leadership skills like? How does he respond to adversity on the pitch? These things you can't really pick up on camera. Also on video, it doesn't follow that one player for the whole game. So if I'm looking at a centre, if I'm scouting a striker, I want to see what his runs are like off the ball. How does he respond if he makes 10 runs and he doesn't get the ball? Is he going to throw his arms up in the air, or is he going to keep going until he gets that one run that he might get on the end of? So there's loads of little nuances that you don't get on video. Video is good. It has its benefits. It allows you to scout in bulk, and it is cost effective. But for me, you cannot, especially if you're looking to sign a player, you cannot miss out the live viewing. especially when you get to the critical end of trying to look to sign a player. Yeah.
So as you're scouting and you're looking at the abilities and the attributes of players, are you looking at their technical things? Are you watching them, as you said, the video and such? But like how deep a dive can and should you be going when you're actually making recommendations to the team, the club?
Yeah, this can vary. It depends on club to club and how different clubs work in terms of scouting, in terms of the specific attributes or KPIs that certain clubs are looking at. We always have this debate in terms of if I'm talking about centre backs, if I'm looking at a centre back, what type of centre back does the club want to sign? Is it a centre back that can play? It's good with their feet, can defend in a high line, or is it a defender that can just head balls out? So it depends. Every scout, every individual, I'm sure you guys as well, have their own biases and reference to certain styles and certain types of play or players. But sometimes you've got to look at what the club needs and certain profiles. So again, that depends on what the club wants, certain requirements, and things like that, and playing style and everything. So yeah, it's quite difficult to narrow down into one sort of attribute. It depends on position, depends on the profile. We might be looking for a midfielder who is 6 foot and can just be a leader, for example. But then the following window, we might be looking for a midfielder who's good at receiving on the half turn, who can play. Or it might be we're looking for a midfielder who's very good at ball winning. So it can literally just vary on what the club are looking at in terms of that specific window.
Imagine. Well, I love it. You just talk about this a lot more than just the technical side around, what you're looking for and things as well. I love how you've transitioned though. I mean, you've used all your experience, like Carl said before, to then do this role now, and it seems like you really enjoy it. I love when I see you on Instagram visiting different places when you do see live games. So I know you get the privilege, to watch some, great football as well while doing a job as well, which is good. And that goes back to, you said before your disappointment about getting released, but then having a backup plan through education and having a good grounding, support and stuff. We can really see how you've kind of been able to make a kind of almost a new career, even out of like the disappointment that you faced along the way, which is great. So really good. Now, last bit of advice. You've given us some really good insight into what it's been like as a player and obviously now as a scout, but we train coaches. So I wonder what your advice would be, any advice around coaching. Oh, you've mentioned about being more than a coach. Any advice to our coaches in West Africa and beyond?
Yeah. Any advice? So for me, it's always being your authentic self, keeping your personality. I feel like a lot of the times that when people go into a certain line of work, they want to kind of be someone else. They're trying to put on a persona. They want to be like someone else. I feel like it's very important to keep your own personality when you're coaching, and those little things that make you who you are. Have your own stamp, have your own identity. But whilst doing that, make sure that you are being true to yourself and in terms of what you want to deliver and what you want to bring out to the people that you're coaching. And also fundamentally just enjoy it. You've got to do what you enjoy and what you love. I've been in certain situations where I've been in certain clubs where I might have been paid a lot better than I was at other clubs, but I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't in a good environment. So yeah, enjoying it, being yourself, putting your own personality on it, and you cannot go wrong.
Solid advice to finish off there, Mad Dog. Really good, Barnsley. I didn't queue you up for this, but who would you have in a five-a-side team? Just like as a last question, from players that you've played with. Obviously, I think you probably have to put in Alex and Adamola, but yeah, you can put anyone in. Who would you put? Yeah,
I'll go goalkeeper Nick Pope.
Ooh.
Nice.
Nick Pope in goal. He plays for England, Newcastle. Can't get past him. He's built like a wardrobe. So yeah, him in goal. Centre back. I'm stuck between two. I'm stuck between Ezri Konsa and Joe Gomez. But I'm gonna go Ezri Konsa. Then it'll be two midfielders, right?
Well, should you, mate? You choose your formation. Yeah. You go 1-2-1.
I'd go 5 goalkeepers.
I feel like I'm going to miss out someone really, really good. So I apologise in advance. But I'll go my two midfielders, Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Alex Iwobi. And then I'll have Adamola up top in a little free roll.
I'll tell you what, that's solid. Technically, especially five-a-side, you've
Yeah.
thought about that as well. But like you say,
Yeah.
I'd be offended if you're not in the team. That was just I'm
Nah,
surprised.
I've been blessed to play with so many top players, and coming through Arsenal and even Charlton, the amount of players that I played with and have gone on to play for their countries and everything like that, it's been really good to see. Like, it's really nice to see that, and yeah, it's
good.
I feel like I've been a part of their journey and stuff like that. So yeah. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's good. I'm pleased that you shared that. A bit of fun to finish, but yeah, thank you for what you shared, Barnsley, just around. I think for me, it's more than just football, like your journey. It's about you talking about, development and having support beyond the game. And then now you're doing that as well, as being a game changer with scouting as well. So yeah, appreciate you being so open, sharing your story, being so vulnerable, and keep changing the game. Hopefully Ramsgate will go up and keep going with your scouting stuff as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good stuff.
So good. Enjoyed that a lot. It was great hearing just Aaron's story, as a player, and then now transitioning to be a scout as well. So really good. I hope that blessed some of the listeners, and as a lot of our listeners are, of course, our coaches, right, Kyle, in different places. So what did you get out of it? What stood out for you?
Well, I should have mentioned this while he was on, but he is technically, look at that. He is our tactical king right there. Corner king, right? The corner tactical. Aaron covered it. I mean, he's got it down using his faith in the center to take that corner and run with it. I mean, it's amazing. So we're filling in the corners. Got the social queen, Daria. We got the tactical king, Aaron Barnes. I mean,
there you go. Well, I did enjoy it because he talked about his
Jim Bros are physical.
That's it. I loved it because he's now tech savvy, so he's using that skill. But he's also, as he looks as a scout, he looks obviously the technical side. But more than that, he looks at how players respond socially, psychologically, how they respond to things. So 4 Corner Plus was definitely covered in that. That's why we check all of them. Tick, 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 tick.
Gold dust.
Yeah, but I did really like how he talked about, just when he did face disappointment from being released, because so many players, he said millions of players don't make it. He said even players that he played with who were amazing never quite made it. I think it's something stupid like 0.00127% of players make it all the way through. So he knows just how small that is. But he talked about having looking beyond that, having education, having family support that helps you get through it. Not having your identity and just playing and your sport, having an identity way beyond that as well. And we loved, our podcast is called All You Won, talking about bigger victory that we've received. And that changes us. But of course, that was him living that out as he's went through his professional and personal journey as well. So yeah, loads of gold dust, Mad Dog. So much gold dust.
Like I said, that gold dust is dropping, and it's actually collecting into gold bars. And season 4 is all about the gold bars. So we're bringing it. We're bringing gold bars, people. We're saying it. We're saying it now.
Amazing. No, it was really good. Loads of great stuff there. Thank you, just Barnsley, for coming in and doing that as well. Loads of great stuff, my dog. Looking forward to having more guests coming in as well to wrap up season 3. Right?
We're not yet finished, people. Keep your foot on the gas. We're going to make it through end of season 3, and then in fact, we're not going to leave you hanging. In the summertime, you're wondering, what do I do with my time now that already one podcast is not out? We got you. We got little glimpses of Ned Tasso coming in there. Do you know Ned Tasso?
I think you should YouTube him. If you don't know who he is, Ned Tasso, give me YouTube.
Famous. And Coach Beard, I guess, is coming too.
There you go, Coach Greybeard. Love it. Now, let's finish with the Wildman's weekly words to finish, right?
Wait a second. Before the music drops, we haven't had a Wildman's weekly words or wisdom in probably a few episodes.
What's
going on?
I'll tell you what, Barnsley inspired me a little bit. He talked about having the right mindset, like when he faced disappointment. Now, look at this, Mad Dog. Your mind could either be your best friend or your greatest enemy. Oh,
what? Say it again.
Your mind could be either your best friend or your greatest enemy. Barnsley talked about having a mindset, the right mindset. He's wrote a dissertation on it, which I can't wait to read. Having the right mindset to get you through when you face disappointment, when things don't go your way. Having the right mindset. You talk about having the right people around you and having the right mindset. And I think he talks about that there. Having a mindset beyond football, beyond that. And you can clearly see the guy's a grounded guy who has got the right mindset as well. Really, I thought that inspired me, and I'm sure it inspired you and many more as well, Mad Dog.
Be your authentic self. That's another one, the phrase that he said. So I love it. So as a coach, as a player, whatever you do in life, just be your authentic self. Be true to who you are, whatever God's called you to do.
Love it. So good. Well, what we got to do, Mad Dog, before we finish, we've got to be authentic self. And what else we got to do?
We got to tell remember your friends, and don't forget the friends of those friends. And of course, you have parents. Tell them parents to tell their friends. Just tell everybody. Hey, they already won.